Yo, what's going on, guys? Clutch back with another video. I have some insane 4-2-2 tactics for you guys, so make sure you hang around to find out. Do you want an amazing team like this? Well, head over to u7buy.com to get the most cheap and reliable coins on FC24 and use code CLUTCH for 6% off. So guys, like I said, we do have the 4-2-2 tactics for you guys today. Before we do get into it, if you haven't already, please smash a like on the video. Helps the video and the channel a ton. Really helps kind of push the video, so that'd be much appreciated. Also as well, if you haven't, please drop a comment. I have any questions or anything like that, want to know anything about FC24 or football or anything involved, drop it down in the comments. And as well, if you haven't, please smash that sub button. We are trying to reach 5,000 subscribers before Christmas. We are getting closer and closer. We are so close to 4.7k now. If we keep this up, we will be on pace to do it, so it would be much appreciated if you could. So guys, like I said, we are going to do the 4-2-2, a formation that for me personally is one of my favourites. It's obviously quite similar to the 4-4-2, obviously a bit similar to the 4-2-3-1, but not quite. But we will get into it and talk about how to use it and whatnot. So, defensive style is on balanced. Again, for me, I'm not a massive pressing tactic guy in general. I find a lot of them to kind of just trying to drag players out of position when you don't need it. For me, when I like to play FIFA, I like to know where my players are going to be on the pitch. Obviously, you can use that with your camera as well. But with FIFA, it can be a bit instinctual, and I want to know where my players are. If I'm using press tactics, they'll run out of position, and it's personally just not for me. Now, the width is on 45. Again, for me, the width is a big one in terms of just if you ever so slightly narrow it, it makes your fullbacks just that little bit narrower in terms of your positioning. And it just means that it can be so much harder for your opponent to play those through balls, especially in the gap between the fullback and the centre-back. It's one of the most deadly in the game. Just making that little bit narrower just means it's a lot harder to play those through balls. Now, our depth is on 71. Again, another massive one in terms of basically playing a higher line and trying to win that ball back in a bit more aggressive positions. Especially on new gen, 71 depth is absolutely busted as well because of the pressing. A lot of people don't know that they've changed depth this year. So what it does, instead of it just being a high line, it actually allows you to press the ball better as well. And with 71 depth, they've found basically it's absolutely bugged. And it just presses so well for you, but doesn't drag your players out of positions and things like that. Just presses at the right times and helps you win the ball back. So it's an absolute no-brainer for a 4-back formation, in my opinion. Now, the build-up play is unbalanced. For me personally, I don't like to use any of them outside of balance with a 4-2-2. Again, I just find that it drags too many players out of position. The only one I could consider using is long ball, but I think it actually pushes the strikers too far up the pitch to a point where they're almost too far away from the cams and the CDMs, and it can be quite hard to actually build up play. Now, the chance creation is on direct passing. If you don't know about direct passing, I don't know where you've been, what planet you've been on. Don't know if you went to Mars for Elon Musk or whatever, but direct passing is absolutely busted. What direct passing does is players with higher attacking positioning, sprint speed and acceleration, they make better in-behind runs. Now, why is that so important? Obviously, with the through balls are so good this year with threaded ones, precisions, normal through balls over the tops. There's so many different ways to utilise through balls this year, and direct passing is such a key part to that, with just making better runs in behind, especially with your attackers. Now, the width for me is on 45. I could even argue about having this a little bit narrower and maybe lowering it down to maybe like a 40 or a 42, somewhere like that. Sorry. But for me, 45 has been a nice width in terms of you do want that little bit of width in terms of them being a little bit wider, just to try and help spread the ball, keep the ball as well, try and frustrate our opponent. But we do also want them to be a little bit narrower in the sense of trying to get a little bit more involved in goal scoring positions, just being in dangerous positions on the pitch in general, especially in those attacking areas. And then we do have our players in the box on 6. This is mainly just due to the fact that we want both our strikers obviously in the box, and we want our cams getting in the box as well. And we will also want a late run from a midfielder every now and then as well. So just for me, 6 players in the box is the best way to do it. If you go up to 7, generally both of your midfielders then start to commit forward. And for me, that's just a bit over the top. Because as much as having players in great positions is good, like for me, defending wins games this year. So I try not to overcommit too much with my defenders. and obviously my defensive midfielders as well. And then my corners and free kicks are both on 2 as well, mainly just due to the fact of not wanting to concede any silly counter-attack goals. And also as well, with corners, if you have it on 2, there's a really good set-piece tactic to use as well. Now guys, we are going to head over into the instructions. This is how I have the team laid out, with a left-footed striker on the left side. I've got Zola as well, who's got the finesse shot plus playstyle plus trait. Obviously Kvaratskhelia with the 5-star skills as well. And then 2 kind of good box-to-box midfielders as our DMs, and then 2 good attacking fullbacks as well. Now, I do have both of my strikers on stay central, getting behind. This is pretty much a very self-explanatory one. We have them in those central positions because we have the wide cams. We don't need anyone drifting out into those wide areas. And because there are 2 strikers, they're playing as left striker, right striker anyway. So they'll naturally be a little bit wider than maybe they would usually anyway. And then we also do have them on getting behind. To obviously make those in-behind runs, make the most of using that direct passing tactic and try and utilise those through balls. Now, I do have both of my wide cams on come back on defence, getting to the box with cross. Now, I have them on come back on defence to help defend. Basically, so it ends up playing almost like a 4-4-2 when we are defending. Just so they sit a little bit deeper and help press the ball. But also, it does mean they still will bomb forward. A lot of people look at it and go, oh, well, you've got them on come back on defence, so that means they won't commit forward, and that just isn't true. They'll still absolutely bomb forward, especially with the fact of having get into the box across on our support runs. It does mean, generally speaking, you may want players with a bit of a higher stamina in these wide players, as they'll get a bit, like they'll kind of be running up and down the pitch. But with them on getting to the box across, it means they'll still make the runs for the back post crosses, cutbacks, and they'll still be super aggressive in terms of making attacking runs. It just means that when we are defending, they'll still try and come back as well. Now, I do have both of my CDMs on stay but while attacking cover centre. Now, this kind of goes into what I was just speaking about how defending wins games. It's such a crucial part of the game this year. I think defending is by far the most important thing. Attacking is just so easy to do. There's so many easy ways to score that it is just about making sure we don't concede goals. So having your 2 CDMs on stay but while attacking is the best way to do that. Obviously, he's on stay but while attacking to make sure our midfielders don't commit too far forward. And then obviously he is on cover centre as well, because like as we said, we have the 2 wide cams that will drop in and almost play like 2 left mid, right mids with a 4-4-2. And then we've also got the fullbacks as well to cover those wide areas. So there just really isn't any need of having any wide cover at all. Now, we do have our 2 centre-backs on just complete default instructions. Again, there's no real need to change anything here. Now, with the keeper, I do have him on just default. But I would say that there is definitely a lot of value in having him on comes across his sweeper keeper. Now, obviously, if you have sweeper keeper on, it just means that your keeper will be a bit further off his line and be available to try and clean up through balls that get over the top or behind your defenders. It just means that you give yourself less chance of conceding any silly through balls. So you could definitely have that on. And you could also have comes for crosses on as well. For me, it is something I do usually like having on. It's mainly just to make sure we don't concede any silly corners and crosses and things like that. So they're kind of usually the main reasons. And then I do have my fullbacks on stay but while attacking overlap. Now, I do have both of them on stay but while attacking, again, for what I spoke about, just making sure we are as defensively strong as possible. But also, I do have both of them as well on overlap. This is mainly so if those 2 wide cams do make those get into the box across runs, there's going to be a lot of wide open space in those wide areas. So hopefully, if I do trigger them to go forward, they'll make those wide overlapping runs and give us some really good overloads in key positions, just to try and help us score some extra goals as well. So yeah, guys, hope you guys did enjoy this video. Again, if you did, please smash a like, smash the sub button. We're trying to reach 5k. And also, if you are interested in having your weekend league played, improveyourrank.co.uk, use code CLUTCH for 10% off. See you guys next time. Peace.